welcome back to Tea Garden. Tonight we're going to be talking about a subject that I actually really found a potent type of magic, but I've only done a couple times, specifically in ritual context with others, like not exactly a coven. I was doing a networking public ritual, so it's kind of a fun thing to do, but I will tell you what it is. Let me grab a book. All right, it is Star Magic. I really loved this book. It opened up a whole new different type of magic to me. And I actually read it over a vacation. So this was pretty awesome to read a few years back. And it just talks about ways to apply constellations into a magical practice and some techniques for that. One of which I'll talk to you about and show you a little bit about. So I really loved Star Magic. And I did a ritual in which I drew down a constellation at the time. So the constellation that was directly above me and the ritual at the time, which was Leo. And I drew it down with a guided meditation with my group. And it was really powerful for me. I'm not sure how powerful it was for other people. Other people seem to find it enjoyable. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's by Sandra Kynes, Star Magic. So if you like constellations or the night sky, that might be something that you're into as well. But instead of just going over star magic in general, I'm going to talk to you about a specific constellation that is extremely important throughout history. And that is the Great Bear, or Ursa Major. So let me get out something to help me occupy the space. A little old, so please excuse. It's a little dusty. What could be in this bag? I wonder. Oh yeah. Crystal quartz, or clear crystal quartz. So one of the techniques that's described in the book is to get crystal quartz or general crystals, whatever it is, and form the constellation to help draw it down. And that's what I did in my ritual. So while I talk about this constellation, I'm going to form it on the cloth. So I'm going to be multitasking. So let's try that out. So, Ursa Major in general. We'll talk a little bit about it in history. It is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it does not go below the horizon. It's an extremely important constellation because of that. It was something that could be relied on for all kinds of things. Navigation, telling time, all of it. So, again, extremely important constellation. Just for that. But it's also important to us in modern day because we know it as part of it as the Big Dipper. Because the back end of the bear is the Big Dipper. So that's where we know it from as modern day folk. I'm going to have to lower this a little bit. Okay. Boop. So that's where we know the constellation from. But we often don't think about or see very clearly the front half of the bear. But some of the things you should know about the Great Bear constellation is that it's been around, of course, forever because stars. In Greece, it was connected to the myth of Callisto, who was a nymph that hung out with Artemis. And she was lured away by Zeus. Because Artemis had the whole, her and her people, her nymphs and people she hung out with, were all celibate, or at least, swore off men, if I remember correctly. But Zeus lured Callisto away, and she ended up having a son. And Artemis found out about this kind of thing and turned her into a bear. Her son grew up, and Callisto, as the bear, came upon him. And he was a adult, and he was a hunter, and he shot Callisto unknowingly, unknowing that was his mother. And Zeus took pity on her and put her in the sky. And Zeus took pity on him, turned him into Ursa Minor, the baby bear, and put him in the sky as well, so they could be together. So that's the Greek myth, as far as I'm remembering. Hopefully I'm getting it correct. In Egypt, the Big Dipper was associated with what's called the bull's foreleg, which was a form of the god Set, who we know as the god of change and god of chaos and things like that. He's not a negative deity. He's extremely powerful. He's the strongest, quote-unquote, strongest of the gods. And he's the one who slays the unnamed enemy of Ra each day to help the world. But as the bull in the sky, the bull of heaven, he's extremely potent. And in order for him not to cause any mischief, he's tied to a mooring post, which is overseen by what we now know as the constellation of Draco. And they were called, those circumpolar stars, not just the Big Dipper and Draco and stuff like that, they were known as the imperishable ones because they did not go below the horizon. If you went below the horizon in Egypt, that meant you passed away or went into the underworld. So those stars were extremely important and extremely potent because they never died. There was one other place where the Great Bear is specifically bear and very important in their mythology, is Finland, where you have the people of the bear. And in Finland, it was believed that the Great Bear was named Otava. She was a Great Bear mother, and she would be the mother of a bear, actual bear. And from bear came people, I believe. Again, I'm trying to get all this mythology in my head straight. So, but yeah, I believe that's why they call themselves people of the bear. But again, do your own research. If you're interested, look it up. All right, let's see here. Let me continue my dipper. So, as far as magical associations of the Great Bear, based on mythology and symbolism, obviously, the Great Bear is a mother figure in a few different mythologies. Very powerful, as not only the Egyptian Big Dipper being linked to power and strength and untamed nature, but also in the other myths, because motherhood, mother power, womanhood, and imperishable stars. They do not change like other stars. They're kept in place. They're stable. You can set a watch by them, things like that. So, extremely potent constellation. So, those are kind of a good association. If you're trying to work on strengthening your bonds to your children as a mother, or if you're trying to establish positive relationships with a mother figure, that's a good constellation to call upon. You could also just draw down the bear constellation whenever you need that extra juice for your magical practice or for life in general. Again, it's just a very powerful, enduring constellation and symbol. Or what's next on my thing? Okay. Leg down here. Another couple legs. Boop. All right. So, you might be wondering, besides just, making patterns for this, with crystals, how else can you use the constellation in your practice? Well, there's a few different ways. You could do the crystal grid like I'm doing. Crystal grid. To attract or connect to the stars, drawing down the constellation for some added oomph or for a purpose. You could also paint it on candles and light the candle for specific times or specific purposes. You could engrave it or paint it on tools as well. If you know that the constellations draw down the power that you need for that specific tool. Like in Egypt, the Big Dipper is a big deal and was used in a bunch of different places. So that's one thing you could do is research the constellation further about where its standing was in different cultures and what it was used for. You could also use it in sigil craft. So if you're creating sigils that perhaps need an added oomph or need a timeline, if you have a constellation you're working with that is actually one that is seasonal and moves up and down the sky, adding that for a specific season would be useful. All right, where am I back? All right, now I need Dipper. There's that one. Boop. Need to come down here with that. There we go. Make sure we can see that. Very good. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to call upon the Great Bear constellation and to really get to know the stars and get to know the power behind them, the essence of the constellation and what it can offer you in your magical practice. Again, I really loved working in that semi-public ritual with the stars and spreading that experience with other people, sharing that other experience with people. And they seem to enjoy it too. And I didn't get any comments specifically about it, but I know that star magic and star energy in general is very subtle. They are a constant but subtle energy to work with. And it's not for everyone, I understand. But it is, again, constant. It's not going away anytime soon. It lasts for millennia. Things just don't change as quickly for stars as with other things. So the influences are more subtle, more varied, or less varied, more stable. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this little crystal gridding with the constellations and talking about the Big Dipper and Ursa Major. And you'll see at least one more video of another constellation that we'll talk about. At least one, if not more. So I hope you enjoyed our little chat today, and come back anytime. Like and subscribe. Have a good night.